Hi guys, it's great to be here. I hope you all had safe journeys, and I understand there's a few people coming in slightly late as well, so let's hope that they can slide in fairly quietly. A quick show of hands. I just wanted to see people from the UK, raise your hands. People from Germany, raise your hands. France, Spain, Italy, Turkey. Have I missed any countries? Portugal, sorry. And they're at the front so they can heckle me as well. This is not a good start. This is not a good start. So I'm going to try and use a bit of technology here and use my, my Android device as my speaking device to look to as I look for my notes. But thank you very much for the introduction. I've been in the UK organisation for 9 years and just moved into the retail team here. I've met a few customers who we've got here today. What I thought, I've had a couple of months to think about how we can sort of approach the presentation, the keynote for today. And one of the things that I always like to look back at, and it's one thing that we always look back at as a company, is the 10 things that we know to be true. You can kind of Google these, and I've used that as a rough guide for today's presentation. And what I've tried to do is take a parallel from those. And in my short 6 months where I've come back into retail is to try and make some analogies of things that we know to be true and things that I've noticed in retail companies and e-commerce companies that are happening right now. So it's more of a mile wide and inch deep into each of the areas and the products that we sit across, but hopefully there'll be some things in there that you haven't learned about that maybe you can learn today. So I'm going to start off by looking at the kind of umbrella that technology is that's enabling all of the great stuff that we can do. So we know that technology is changing the world fast. I was looking at the bandwidth. It's 12 times greater what we'll be using in 2020 than what it is right now. And if you actually consider what we're using today as a general average is 12 times greater than what we're using in 2006. So it doesn't seem too hard to imagine that might happen quite quickly. Video is 50% of consumer traffic on the internet. Places, sites like YouTube and sites like Netflix are using a tremendous amount of that capacity. And connected devices per person. There's currently about 2 billion people who are online and about 10 billion connected devices to the internet around the world. Those are various different devices. They could be fridges. But by 2050, there'll be 50 billion devices that will be connected to the internet. It just doesn't bear thinking about the amount of traffic that'll have to go around the internet to support that. And when we think about platforms as well, there's 1 billion Android activations globally. We talked about this in our I/O conference recently. We've got 750 million people who are on Chrome. And for those of you who are signed in on Chrome across your desktop, across mobile, and also across your tablet, you start to suddenly realize they're more than just operating systems or browsers. They're actually entire cloud platforms by which people are starting to access the internet. And actually, when you think about cloud platforms as well, in particular to retail, a lot of retailers are starting to move towards some of our cloud platforms. People like Ahold in the Netherlands have moved to Google Docs recently. So that's the broad sort of picture of what's happening with technology. And when we look at smartphone adoption in particular, we're going to focus a lot in the next couple of days on mobile. When we look at smartphones in particular, there's 1.5 billion smartphones. Apple, I think, who's upgraded to the iOS 7 here? It's quite a big upgrade, wasn't it? 3 gig, I think. So a lot of people have been sat around upgrading this week, but and the stats have come out as well. Already 9 million, the analysts are forecasting 9 million devices will be sold by Apple during this quarter, with the likes of China coming on board as well. So those global smartphone users are only going to get bigger and bigger. When we look at mobile queries, and we'll touch upon this later on as well, the retail queries now on mobile devices right now, as of the last month, in the UK are at 27%. We can pull those stats for every single market, but I assume that they're probably pretty similar for many different markets throughout Europe. When we look at smartphone activations, last year, a week before Christmas, there were 50 million activated, just the week before Christmas. 50 million globally, 17.4 million on Christmas Day alone. So, mentioned about video bandwidth, 86% is going to move up to by 2020. And we're seeing people like Netflix now who are picking up Emmy Awards for the likes of their content this week. Breaking Bad. I'm a big fan. Anyone a big fan of Breaking Bad? Yeah, once you start watching it, you can't stop watching it. And it obviously uses a lot of internet capacity as well. So 200% growth in online video spend in Spain. We've actually got now zero TV households, households that only watch on laptops or watch on smart TVs that simply aren't connected any other way. So those are sort of some of the pillars around video, around mobile, and also around technology. When we look at the e-commerce, there's a variety of statistics that I've looked at throughout all of Europe. And the number that I like is the sort of big number, which is by 2020, 10.5% of retail in Europe will come from online. In the UK, it's probably already at about 12 or 13%. But when you look at the differences between channels, when you think about footfall and people physically walking into stores, it's much smaller. It's growing sometimes negative, depending on the weather, but it's literally 1, 2, 3% at best. And this is a very similar pattern throughout the rest of Europe as well. The other big number which we can look at as well is just the European e-commerce market. It's going to double in size by 2017 to reach 600 billion euros, so 625. It's currently about 312 billion euros. It's going to double in size in the next 6 years as well. Now, what does all of this mean? What does consumption online, consumption on mobile phones, consumption of video mean? The technology enablers that allow us to look at all this content online. It means that there's billions and billions of moments that now matter to consumers. When you're picking up your devices and looking at your devices, you're getting a different experience on each of those. And Google's, through its platforms and through AdWords, is enabling you as an advertiser to reach those consumers in a multitude of different ways. Now, if we can just go and play the video, what we've got here is an example of typical sort of interactions that people are having through their typical sort of daily life. Now, this is a couple called Alex and Sally. Watch this closely. We're going to come back to this later on throughout the presentation as well. So play video. Are we going to be able to play that again, or have we lost that? Let's try once more. No, we stop there. So a small problem with that video, but the general gist of it is essentially that they're spending their entire life in parallel. He's at work, she's at home. They're searching for different things that they might need as a result of the baby that's arriving. And eventually she goes on and has the baby. But maybe we're going to try once more or not? Is that it? No? No. I don't think it's going to play. OK, so let's move on to the next slide.
Hey, just that, thanks.
You can stop video. So let's focus on the 10 things that I wanted to talk you through as the kind of key theme for today. So these are the 10 things that we kind of know to be true. And as I said, we've applied these to the retail marketplace. Now, I think we've all had probably a pretty bad experience at one time or another trying to purchase something online. You get really infuriated with websites, the amount of data that you need to put in there, personal information, and sometimes you just get stuck trying to sort of transact. This is a video I love, and I think we'll all be able to perhaps realize something in this for ourselves as well. So if you can play the video here.
Hey, just that, thanks.
You sure?
Yeah.
Username?
Oh, Nick M?
No.
NM 1983?
No.
Zandy Pops?
Sorry.
Zandy Pops?
No, OK. Don't worry, I'll help. What's your postcode?
Oh, it's GU749ZT.
Welcome back, Nick Forever.
Okay.
Please listen carefully to this bread license agreement before continuing with your purchase of a loaf of bread. If you do not, blah, blah, blah. You also agree not to use any bread-based products for any purposes prohibited by United Kingdom law, including without limitation design, development, manufacture of missiles, chemical, nuclear or biological weapons.
Tick.
I'm afraid you've timed out.
What? Sorry. Hello? Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Just what, live, sir?
Yeah, we just...
What's your username?
It's Nick Forever, but number 4, not the...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
OK, I'm just going to check that you're a real person. Could you say that for me?
It's not even a word.
OK, how about this one?
You know what? Forget it.
Or this one?
Hippo Potter Mice.
You're in.
Great. I'm in.
£8.85.
It's supposed to be 98 pence.
Plus express delivery.
What's that?
Oh, well, it's express delivery. It's fast. So there's, standard. Standard delivery. That's £4.99.
Why?
Bread insurance. You didn't untick the don't decline bread insurance option.
You know what? I think I'll risk it.
It is quite close to the sell-by date.
Don't care.
98 pence it is. If you just want to pop back in 5 business days, it'll be ready for your collection.
Well, I need it now, obviously.
Oh, OK. You want the take-home today price? Well, that's £3.27.
You know what? I'm going to go.
Come back soon.
I won't.
So it's actually an advert for Google Analytics, but I think it really represents really well some of the customer experiences that we're having. When we think about focusing on the user, you know, what we've written down as important to being for ourselves is since the beginning we've focused on providing the best user experience possible. Whether you're designing a new internet browser or a new tweak or a look to the homepage, we take great care ensuring that they will ultimately serve you rather than our own internal goal or bottom line. Our homepage interface is clear and simple and pages load instantly. Placement in search results is never sold to anyone, and advertising is not only clearly marked as such, it offers relevant content and is not distracting. And when we build new tools and applications, we believe that they should work so well that you don't have to consider how well they might have been if they were designed differently. So when I think about some of the things that we're doing as a company within retail and commerce in particular, you'll hear more in the next 24 hours or so from Nisha about PLA and shopping actually later on this afternoon. You'll hear about our product listing ads and the improvements that we're making there and how you can reach out to a huge long tail of potential queries that you're not getting to right now. We'll also hear about trusted stores. So trusted stores is a program we've launched in America only, and it gives confidence to consumers around the ability of retailers, merchants to deliver goods to consumers as well. So that's another product we've also got. It has a badging system that operates as well. The third thing that we've been working on, and we've had some recent news on this in the US as well recently, is on Wallet. So with Wallet now, it integrates across both iOS and also on Android. And you've got the ability now to put things such as coupons and also loyalty cards within there as well. So Wallet, US only right now, but it's an innovation within retail and commerce space. And one other project we've had, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area only, is Google Shopping Express. Now, Google Shopping Express is literally just local delivery. So if you wanted to make the ingredients for a pasta dish at home in the evening, you're able to place those orders online, and within a couple of hours, those items will be delivered to your home or your office, wherever you need them to be. So those are some of the things that we're doing when we think about focusing on the user within shopping. And some of the things that I've noticed, and some of the things that we've done case studies around as well, is around responsive web design. So, quick show of hands, who runs within their organisation a responsive design site? Yep. So there's 10, 15, 20% people there. I think what we're seeing is generally a move towards doing this. The management and the ease of management of this is making lives for marketeers far, far easier. And even the results that we've seen from our case studies are really compelling. So you're seeing conversions that are happening on mobile far easier. You're seeing bounce rates decrease. And you're seeing the number of pages that people go to across those sites as growing exponentially as well. So one trend we're seeing. And then also when you think about the retail experience, so there's lots of schools of thought about the cost base that retail encumbers many pure play or multi-channel retailers with. But if you look at a brand like Burberry, which has been reinventing itself through some of their digital creatives and some of their digital campaigns, their store in London now actually hosts concerts, and it also has, with some of the goods, they're actually RFID enabled. So as you walk up to a mirror, the RFID tag within that item will actually flash up on the mirror, and you'll actually have a screen within that mirror which will show you examples of how people have worn those items. So I think that we're starting to see representations of what they're doing in the digital world now being transferred across into the real world as well. Another example of sort of focusing on the user. And then finally, we've also seen offline convenience. So how many people here have seen or not received an item because they haven't been in? You know, how many times has a delivery company come? 3 or 4 times, yeah. A lot of people. So you get your first calling card, they come back 24 hours later, you get your second calling card, and you get your third calling card. Now, Amazon's been experimenting in this space. We have grocers. So if I think about the French market, a lot of people actually collect in France their groceries, one of the highest proportions across Europe, actually. We've also got people like ASOS as well, who are in the luxury apparel market, who also do the ability to deliver into local stores, which is great from a convenience perspective because you're able to go and collect your pint of milk or your bread at the same time as pick up your items for delivery. So that's the first thing, is focusing upon the user and all the innovations that we're seeing in retail around there. Now, the second thing is what we've always focused on is to do one thing really, really well. And we do search. You know, we've got probably the world's largest collection of engineers who are working on search. We've got a huge group of people in terms of users who are constantly giving us feedback about how we can make that faster and better all the time. And that allows us to launch products like Gmail and things like Google Maps as well. And we're also hoping that we can bring search into new areas of applications that would be useful as well. But when we think about retail, our kind of, if we go back one slide, if I think about our mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. Yeah? So that's a really clear mission, and we can look back to that mission at any point and say, are we holding ourselves up to this right now? So when we think about Android, when we think about mobile search, it still is true to what we were doing. When we think about YouTube, organizing the world's information through video, it's still true to ourselves. When we think about retailers, one of the things I've done as a part of a preparation for this is just looked at all the different mission statements. So look at mission statements. I urge you to go away and sort of think about this, but look at the mission statements that you'll see for pure play retailers. And then go and look at some of the mission statements that you'll see for traditional retailers. And then go and look at banks. And then go and look at finance companies. And you'll see a huge difference between the two. Typically, what you'll see is a huge orientation around being very customer-centric. And this is consistently there to be found. So Amazon's vision, our vision, is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Not just, the world, but the Earth's most customer-centric company. And to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. So now, a good case study of where a company has tried to be as focused as they possibly can on their mission, but have actually stepped slightly beyond the boundaries of their mission, is Lego. Now, Lego is a business that's Danish. It's many decades old. It's been millions of people have used the product around the world. About 10 years ago, so this was a case study. You can read it in Wired. But about 10 years ago, they decided to launch a new toy. It was called Galador, and Galador was going to have a TV series. It was going to be in Happy Meals. It was going to exist in many different ways. And actually what they did was they moved slightly outside of their comfort zone of what they could normally do with their products, and actually it ended up being a huge failure. So I think there's some merits to sort of learn and understand from your mission, and the problem was that their mission probably wasn't as critical or as well understood throughout the business as perhaps it should have been. So that's the second area, is we need to think about your mission. Now the third area is one that's also really close to our heart as well, and that's around speed and making sure that we can do things really, really fast. We know that your time is valuable, so when you're seeking an answer on the web, we want you to get it right away. We're shaving excess bits and bytes all the time off the way in which we're being more efficient, and we've broken our speed records on serving up our search results all the time. And we think about this across all of our products as well. We think about it across Chrome. So Chrome was a browser that was built from the ground up just for the web, and it's now, as we sort of heard earlier, has got 750 million installs around the globe. So one of the things I wanted to do was just consider some examples from retail where we think fast is better than slow. And I'll illustrate that through the point of Google+. So, you could say launch early and iterate is something that should be baked into everyone's behaviors when they're thinking about the commercials within their business. We actually acquired a company even before this in social, but if we go back to the origins of Google+, it went through 4 different iterations. The first one being Open Social, the second one being Google Wave, third one being Buzz, and then finally we've got Google+. But it sort of shows to me that we are very fast at failing, and when we know that we make mistakes, we quickly learn from those and move on very, very quickly. And we've had people who've partnered with us closely to make sure that we can see success off the back of this. Now, the numbers for Google Plus are absolutely staggering. 190 million active users on Google Plus and 390 million who are taking social actions across Google all the time. And as a user now, when you're logging in on whether it's through Maps, whether it's through video, whether it's through mobile, Google Plus has been completely interwoven. It's now the spine of all of our products. So phenomenal success, and I think also it works really, really strong and really, really well for advertisers as well. So there's better discovery. Advertisers are able to find their products. So I happen to be quite interested in cars, and one of the things I can constantly find is manufacturers who are putting stuff into Google Plus, and it just appears in my stream. I don't have to go and find it. The news is always there for me as it actually happens. It's because people are sharing that early. Also, deeper engagement as well. I spend more time now as a result of my Google Plus stream looking at different sites that are out there. I think that also when you think about it from a business perspective, there's marketing across the entire web. You can see those interactions and where people are interacting with you across the entire web as well. So one example which I think really illustrates this closely is Topshop. Now, Topshop, brand that's recognized throughout Europe, a retailer, they partnered with us around London Fashion Week, I think it was last year, and they worked with us in several different ways. I'll show the video first, and then we'll talk through exactly what they did. If you can run the video.
Glass as fast as you can get to the cheap perfume. No one's moving, they just rather stand and wait until someone starts to move. Someone starts to move. Shake, 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 that's all you make of it. Take what you will. Now, 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 the only mistake is if you start still. Shake, 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 that's all what you make of it. Break it till you know, now, now, the only mistake is if you start still. It's only up to you. It's only up to you. Forget yourself. This room is happy, we can make it harder with your help. I'll dance with you. We'll dance together until everybody's moving to when everybody moves. When everybody moves. Shake, 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 that's all what you make of it. Take what you will. No, 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 the only mistake is if you start still. So shake, 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 that's all what you make of it. Break it until you know, no, no, the only mistake is if you start still. It's only up to you. It's only up to you. It's only up to you. It's only up to you.
It's great. I mean, you can see the quote there from Justin, who's the CMO. But one of the things that they did was that they moved really, really early on this opportunity. It was, like I said, February of this year. The statistics that kind of came back from that, they actually did a hangout on air with 7,500 live views, people actually tuning at that time. And then post the event, because the event was recorded, they got a further 4 million views looking at some of the content. As I said, they did it from the perspective of four different ways. They looked at it from both the team, the fashion, the model, and the buyer, who were all involved as part of putting this campaign together. And they actually acquired 300,000 new followers just during that period on their Google Plus site. And then the final thing as well, they had 400,000 views that were attributed across their Google Plus posts. So just a great example of somebody moving quickly and taking advantage of the opportunity that exists there. I think we're all familiar with this photo. Hopefully we've seen it before. It's the inauguration of the Pope. The differences between 2005 and 2013. And our fourth area that's really, really important to us, of the 10 things that we believe to, is that democracy on the web works. Now, Google search works because it relies on the millions of individuals posting links on websites to help determine which sites offer content of value. And we assess the importance based upon the algorithm, which is PageRank. So when I think about democratization, I think about this video. What it says to me is that there's now millions and millions of people who are recording moments throughout their entire life. And it naturally sort of led me to sort of think about YouTube as a natural segue into this. So maybe if we can, while you read the stats, we can run with the video here and just play the video.
It's great to hang out with you today.
Looking forward to it.
So, 1 billion users, it's video democracy on a global scale. And it always has and it always will be a forum for free expression. We see some of the happiest moments in life and some of the worst moments in life sort of expressed through YouTube. And there's a huge amount of interactivity within there as well. 50% of all people are commenting upon or liking or favoriting videos within there as well. And the statistics just continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's not just a platform for users, it's also a platform for creators. And we're seeing all sorts of different types of professional content. We're going to hear a lot more about that today from Kirk. And we've also got advertisers who are taking advantage of that platform as well. So I think what I can do is, before we go into more depth on Kirk's session, is just give you a brief overview of where we see advertisers sort of finding success and marrying probably the best of TV to the best of online, where you've got the measurability and accountability. So the three simple messages I think that advertisers are looking at right now is looking at creative, looking at metrics, and looking at engagement. And I'm going to quickly take you through each of those. So the first thing to sort of think about is, if you follow these steps, you'll probably find quite a fair degree of success with your advertising that you do. And this is an advert which we're going to see more of later. So it's Juicy Couture, and actually one of the things they've done within their TrueView advertising, so this is a skippable advertising format within YouTube, is actually create annotations within there. So within creative, there's probably 4 or 5 major trends that we're seeing that are really, really successful. So annotations is the first one. The second thing that we're seeing in there is episodic content as well. So posting regularly, and also we're seeing sponsorships around particular TV programs that may well be, or programs that are being put within YouTube, becoming more regular. And actually people are subscribing to channels and they're expecting to see more content from yourself. Now, the third area we're starting to see as well is about responsiveness. So looking at that video, it seems a long while, as a lot's happened in a short period, or rather it feels like a long time since we had Gangnam Style. But we also had since then as well Harlem Shake, yeah? I'm sure we all saw the phenomenon that was Harlem Shake and the videos that came off the back of that, and we probably saw lots of brands that also jumped on the back of that as well. So, being responsive as well within your creative is also incredibly important within YouTube, and it's a trend that we've started to see. And then the other thing which we're going to touch upon later as well is thinking about events that are really, really huge as well. So we've seen live streams. It's a platform where you can start to live stream your content. For Samsung, as a leader in manufacture of hardware and mobile phones, they've actually launched 2 of their products this year, reaching out to millions of people with live streams of their content throughout YouTube. So that's the first thing that we can kind of think about is just the creatives and different ways in which creatives can be used, and we'll touch upon those more later on. The second thing is I'm going to run through a short case study from Gumtree. So Gumtree, classified advertiser owned by eBay, operates out of the UK and across a few other markets as well. One of the things that they found is by using a creative which wasn't the same as their TV ad, they created a new creative, they were able to take advantage of True View. So True View is a chosen view. It's where the viewer of the ad elects to watch it all the way through to the end. It's only when you've watched it through to the end that you actually get charged for those ads. And we, off the back of the success of this campaign, we worked with them and we wrote up a case study. But what they realized was by using Google Analytics and True View that 57% of their visitors that came through to their site had never been to their site before. So imagine that, a campaign with True View in YouTube, and then half of the visitors they got had never actually purchased from them before or interacted with them before, enabling them to put more ROI sort of behind that. It was like 59%, not 57%, were new to Gumtree. And in addition, the research that we see is that the interaction of these, where you actually elect to watch them through to the end versus TV advertising, tends to have a 2 times brand recall compared to TV. So it's an amazing format. We're going to hear more about it today. And retailers are, in some instances, putting up to 10 or 15% of their total TV budgets into these sort of formats. So we can run the video and just go through a bit of the case study about how they took advantage of it.
Jenna bought some golf clubs on Gumtree. From Dennis. She's better than you already.
Millions of sellers, millions of buyers. Gumtree.
Success!
So the idea behind this year's TV campaign was to demonstrate how great Gumtree can be. When you have a good experience on Gumtree, you want to come back, and you also want to tell your friends about it. So Gumtree and Google have always had a good relationship. Paid search has been a core of our business for many years. We started conversations on YouTube in 2012, and we tested some of our 2012 advertising through TrueView.
TrueView is our most popular advertising product on YouTube. It's a skippable pre-roll format that's served before a user watches a video on YouTube. From an advertising perspective, the advertiser only pays when the user watches the entire advert. If they skip, they don't pay. For this campaign, we engaged with the creative agency from an early stage before the advert had actually been filmed. So we were able to show them really good examples of what works best on YouTube. Some of the key things that we wanted to instill were that the first 5 seconds of the ad is vitally important, as essentially it's free branding for the advertiser. And then second of all, we wanted them to cut a short, snappy 10, 12-second version of the ad so that we could use that on YouTube rather than have the 30-second spot.
We knew that the ads were going to be impactful, lively, and therefore good YouTube content.
Boom!
For a really successful YouTube video, the advertiser needs to try and make it unskippable. So by saying that, we mean really engage with the audience in the first 5 seconds. Short, snappy comedy works really well. Basically, anything that will encourage them not to hit that skip button works really well on YouTube.
From an implementation point of view, YouTube were really useful. So as a business, we had some specific tests that we wanted to carry out during the process of the campaign, and YouTube helped us create a campaign that would test these factors.
I think testing is really, really important to kind of figure out, where you're getting the best engagement rates, the best view-through rates, the cheapest cost per view, and then you can take that information and use it for your optimization later on.
After our 6-week testing period, we actually managed to achieve a 1p cost per view and a view rate of 50%. So essentially that means that half of people viewing our ad did not skip, which is a pretty amazing statistic.
I think YouTube is becoming more and more important as an advertising platform. It really complements television. It gives you huge incremental reach from your TV campaign, and it also gives you all the measurability that you're used to with your paid search or display. So in that regard, it's best of both worlds, I think.
Because we managed to get our cost per view down and our cost per thousand so low, it was comparable to TV in terms of the amount of reach you can get, but also comparable from a paid search point of view.
The campaign was a perfect success. It proved that YouTube could be used as a branding channel, but also it could be comparable with direct response. So we hope to use TrueView in the future on a more consistent basis.
I had no idea that TrueView would work so well for the brand. We were able to get our advertising in front of a huge population at a really low cost, and so I'll keep it as part of our marketing mix going forward.
From Google's point of view, this campaign has been a real success. A 50% view-through rate is unprecedented. It's more than double the UK benchmark, and the really amazing thing is they did this while only paying a penny per view, which has been fantastic.
So working with YouTube brought us some fantastic results from a metrics point of view, also allowed us to spread the brand to a whole new UK population. So for us, success.
Some happy customers. So the statistics there are, absolutely phenomenal with what they managed to achieve. I think the key was obviously creating a sort of new creative to support that as well. So we've looked at the creatives, we've looked at the metrics. This is an example of some of the metrics. The other third thing that you can do within YouTube is figure out engagement as well. And there's a variety of tools that allow you to look at how people are looking at your content, where they're coming to and where they're coming from. Now, great example here. Go away and have a look. We haven't got time to look at it today, but this is Heineken. So Heineken's launched a program in the summer, which was called Dropped. Did anyone see it at all? No? I think predominantly it was in the US. There was one hand up there, but predominantly I think it ran in the US. Now, the scenario here is that they take a couple of random strangers and drop them in the strangest place in the world. So there was a couple of guys, I think a Polish guy and an Irish guy, got handcuffed together and dropped in Poland, and then they were then given dropped in the Philippines and then given a task that they had to accomplish, all followed by a video camera to sort of do this. So just a great example of where they're engaging with their audience and reaching out to new customers as well across YouTube. So the fifth area that we sort of go back to and sort of revisit in the 10 things that we think that we hold to be true is that you don't need to be at your desk to need an answer. And when we wrote this, probably 10 years ago, I guess mobile was nowhere near as important as it is today. For us, we've obviously got the ecosystem with Android and all those partners who work closely with us as well. So it's been very prescient of ourselves to sort of understand how powerful this can be. And we've got obviously maps, we've got things like shopping on mobile as well. So there's a whole variety of different products that sit across there. When we think about it in context of retail, so we've all shopped at IKEA, I think, at one point or another. Now, IKEA can be a long process to kind of get through from we're walking in the door to actually getting to the transaction and the checkout. Obviously, we can shop online as well, but I think many of us like the hot dogs there or the sauerkraut or the food that they've got. So, great example here, Google Maps floor plans, and also we've done this with Street View as well, is the ability to be able to upload all of your maps from each of your stores. Now, their typical stores are 400,000 square foot, 300,000 or 400,000 square foot, so they're huge, huge stores. And they're typically organized over 2 levels as well. But through the API, you're able to upload all of your content within there. And with your consent, if you turn your mobile phone on, you're actually able to look at where you are in the store with a little blue dot as you kind of move around as well. So just a great example of mobile really sort of empowering retailers to get the most from their assets. Now, the other thing that we know to be true as well is that retailers are underinvesting in mobile. If we look at any of the IAB stats for many of the countries that you're in, they look at the top 100 brands in each of those countries, and a significant proportion haven't got a mobile site that's out there right now, a responsive web design site that works on mobile. In the UK, it's 45% of all sites just don't have, the top 100 brands don't have a mobile site there. And we know that the smartphone shipments are just going to grow and grow and grow. As I said before, there was 50 million smartphones last year that were activated over Christmas week. Now, what that means is that this Christmas, there'll be 50 million more people who will be searching online than there were last Christmas, looking at those queries. And we've mapped out the queries across different platforms for the UK. As I said, we can get these for each of the markets for you. And we've tried to make some sort of estimates based upon those trends as well. So actually, about a year ago, I was working in the gambling space with e-gaming advertisers, and actually between Christmas Day and Boxing Day, that was when we saw the important switch, and actually smartphone outnumbered desktop in that space last year. And I think we're probably pretty much at the same area right now with retail coming up for this year. So smartphone now, 32% is estimated. We're currently about 27% right now. And compare that to last summer, 18%. It's almost a double, and it represents a third of total queries. So we know that Christmas is going to be huge. It's really important for yourself to get ready for Christmas as well. And then we've also created a really smart tool, which if you haven't seen before, you should take a look at, the full value of mobile. We know that mobile has a huge impact as part of that purchase process. I think many of us have gone shopping with our mobile in our hand. We're scanning barcodes, looking at prices, making sure that we can get perhaps the best price or even the best service elsewhere. 24% have used a store locator and bought in store. I'm going to show you a case study quickly on that in a minute. And then 69% have researched the product information on a smartphone. We often use smartphones as that fill-in time. If you're traveling on public transport, often people spend their time thinking about the things that they want to purchase. So it's absolutely important to make sure that you know and understand where you're appearing as part of that customer journey. And I think 21%, yeah, we can see have used a mobile coupon as well. So Adidas, this is a US case study, well worth looking at though. it was done in association with iProspect, their agency. And they found that 20%, 1 in 5, of people who clicked on their store locator went into the store. They set up some robust methodology around this with their client as well. And off the back of those 1 in 5 people actually going into their store, they also saw a further 13% of those people then transact with an average order value of £71. So it's incredibly important that you understand the different channels that you've got, whether it's offline or online, and the different devices that people are using when they're coming into your store and when they're interacting with yourself. And life as a marketeer in the retail space is not getting any easier. There's more complexity, there's more data points. A lot of those data points within your organization can often be very siloed as well. So a sixth trend that I've seen, I've noticed since I've moved back into retail, is just personalization. And a number of advertisers are asking us for solutions around personalization that is growing all the time. There's great examples of recommendation-based when you go back into Amazon, but we've also got an example here of Mr. Porter. You log in and literally get your own personalized view as you shop more. You start to get a more personalized view of the content that you should find more relevant to yourself as well. So we also know it isn't just on the landing pages, but it's also across advertising. So who here, quick show of hands, who's seen a poorly targeted ad at themselves? I think most people, yeah? So display advertising is going through huge changes right now with things like real-time bidding and the ability to be able to understand your audiences a lot more clearly. And the model that we like to try and think of when we think about personalization is all screens, always open, audience engaged, and then, as always, with everything around digital, it's to attribute and measure. So, firstly, let's look at being found on all screens. We've talked about the queries that are happening. We've talked about the devices that people are using. And I think it's absolutely critical that you make sure that you're well covered on both mobile, tablet, and second area. When we think about the in-store sort of interactions that people are having, I mentioned here 43% of the top 100 brands haven't got mobile sites, 45% research on phones when shopping, and 20% change their mind at that point of purchase. So if you're a multi-channel retailer, it's incredibly important for yourself to think about the power of search and how you can influence those people when they're actually in your store. Now, I'll skip past this because we missed the entire video earlier, but essentially with enhanced campaigns, you've now got the ability to be able to target people more on the basis of context and location of where they are. So the second thing is always be open. I think the mentality, I see less of it now than perhaps a year or two ago, but the mentality is to think like a normal retailer. But in fact, people will be shopping from you in that example from the video. People are shopping at various times of the day. Make sure that you're always in, your store's always open. 32%, these statistics actually blew my mind, 32% of total shopping budgets are spent online in the UK, and 19% of purchases now are happening, in the UK at least, between 8 p.m. and midnight every day. So, critical time to make sure that you've got your store open. And final point really is around sort of audience engaged. So, when you think about consumers coming through to your site, they're leaving signals with you all the time. You can understand more about the sites that they've been to. You can perhaps understand socially how they're engaging with yourself. And you'll also know that you've got the ability through remarketing to be able to reach back to these same people. So if you think about the physical world, somebody walks out of your store, pre-digital age, you'd want to try and talk to them and keep them as warm as possible so that potentially purchase from yourself, inquire more about what they what they might need or what they might want. So 55% of shoppers don't purchase on the first visit. There's a really strong signal there for yourself to be able to look at retargeting those users either through search or display advertising. And we also know through things like recommendations as well, and through social, there's also the opportunity to reach back to those people. When we think about the example, which we would have seen in the video, somebody who's about to have a baby, her and her husband, and when you think about the path through which she might go about purchasing items, there's a huge opportunity to remarket her. Initially, she'll start off buying one product, but you'll know that several months or weeks later, she may well start purchasing other products as well. So there's an opportunity to retarget those people. And with that becomes cost, scale, and savings as well, because you're doing it at scale. And the final thing is really to understand this. As I mentioned before, you've got a variety of different silos that exist across your businesses, and you've got a very hard task, understanding about those different devices and those different sessions that users are conducting across your website. Now, just one example here It's a case study. You can Google this. You can find it online. It's in our Google Insights area. It's dynamic remarketing. So I think it was from skates.co.uk. And what they'd employed is, rather than static remarketing, they'd employed dynamic remarketing. So they knew exactly the pages that people had gone to and then served them back the creatives to try and target those people. And they saw CTRs that were up by 450%. Their CPAs were 77% lower. And I think during the month where they actually did this test in a 30-day period, they saw 2% of their overall revenues being driven just from the dynamic remarketing campaigns that they'd done. So there's a huge amount for us to learn about personalization and about display advertising as well. Now, there's always more information as a seventh area that we as a company kind of focus on. And we know that when we think about the way that we index the web, the way that we search the web, if you think about initially it just being text-based, and then over time we had news, we had images, we had video, we had more and more content, which was more and more of a challenge for us to understand how we could sort of dig into that. And I think that there's a parallel there between what's happened with ourselves and also what's happening within your businesses as well. There's always more information that you can find from your businesses. There'll be different departments, there'll be HR, there'll be finance, there'll be different teams who've got different perspectives, there'll be a CRM system, and some of the ways that you might want to marry these together will give you incredible power, a competitive edge. So when we think about a typical purchase cycle, we looked at it earlier, there's billions of moments that matter every single day. Different people are looking at different things. And as you go through that purchase, it can be online, offline, it can be through CRM, it can be through in-store, it can be tablet, mobile, and desktop. So a typical customer will spend, it could be, depending on the product, a very long cycle, or it could be far, far shorter. And I think the challenge that we want to help with our products, and what you'll hear about in the next 24 hours, the challenge we want to do is see if we can help you to arrive at a more holistic view and more of a single view of those customers and how you can target them more effectively. So with Google Analytics, we saw the commercial earlier with the loaf of bread and the sort of transactions that you go through. But with Google Analytics, you get a better view around the decisions that you can make, the performance across your campaigns, and also the efficiencies that you can bring to your overall activities as well. And I think we'll hear more about Google Analytics as well in the next 24 hours. So the final couple of things really around export, and the need for information crosses all borders. When I joined Google 9 years ago, we were just in a few countries. We weren't in all the countries by no means around the globe. In fact, we've got more and more people now who are working in more and more domains. The statistics and the numbers that we now operate in are kind of blow your mind, really, when we think about the languages that we work across. So our company was founded in California. We now have 60 offices in 60 countries, more than 180 internet domains, and we offer a search interface in more than 130 different languages. And people have the ability to sort of restrict the access that they've got in certain languages there as well. But there's also things like translation tools as well. So anyone use Google Translate? It's a great tool, particularly if you're in a foreign country and you want to understand, menus or kind of if you're purchasing from another site. Really, really good example. And if people haven't seen this, I urge you to go and look at this. So we know that export is a huge business for Google. We've exported our product around the globe. And I think within the retail sector, the parallel there is there's huge export opportunities for most businesses. There are obviously some constraints on the basis of what type of product that you might be selling. But certainly things like apparel, luxury, tends to be something that can be transported very, very easily, and also things like cycling as well, which we'll touch upon in a minute. This is for beauty products. Full Unique has actually just installed a small widget on their website. And without having to go to the trouble of employing loads of people to build out loads of different websites, do the translations, do all the commerce off the back of that, they've actually got a very simple widget that enables you to do all of that across many different languages around the globe. And they've got very small items that they can ship very, very easily as well. So just a great example of information sort of crossing all borders. Now, I'm aware of the fact we've got a European audience here, and we could talk about many, many more statistics, but when we look at the UK, sort of looking internally, the UK is one of the most mature markets by GDP, by e-commerce, compared to any other market in the world as well. So retailer sales, or e-commerce sales, will come from abroad. 28 billion is the number that will come from abroad by 2020. When we think about the contribution to GDP, this is a phenomenal contribution of about 8.3%. So we've done some research, and we're actually going to bring out some more research in a couple of weeks' time from OC&C. And the OC&C research has looked at the opportunity that exists across, firstly, the UK, but the research we will be bringing out will be across all markets in the next few weeks. But we know that things like Western Europe, Central Eastern Europe, and Asia are really strong areas for yourselves to think about, obviously with prioritization about how you can potentially target those areas. And Wiggle. So I don't know if anyone's here into cycling. Any cyclists in the audience? So there's a few people around into cycling. It seems to be the new version of golf for many people. Wiggle ships to hundreds of different markets around the globe. And the statistics that sort of support their efforts they've got right now are phenomenal. I'll just read some of those through to you. So they're based out of Portsmouth down on the south coast. And they've got 350 staff. They've got 40,000 SKUs. So huge amounts of products. But they've also got 500 brands that those SKUs exist across. So they do a lot of events online, they do sponsorships in YouTube, and they do a lot of social media as well to connect to that community that's out there. And they also offer free international delivery. And I know delivery is a huge consideration when it comes to shipping products out, and it can be one of the reasons why many people will or won't buy from you. But in 2012 alone, they had 2 million shipments. So if you divide that by 356, that's a huge amount, 365, that's a huge amount of orders that they're processing each day that are going around the globe. And then they've also responded to, so there's a service element to this, because obviously there's all those goods that are possibly returned, but they're responding to 40,000 emails in sort of different languages, and also to live chats as well to sort of support that kind of business. But for themselves, clearly a huge opportunity is for export. Now this one, I'm kind of keen to hear about your thoughts. You can be serious without a suit. So there's many great examples of stuff that's happening within YouTube, but I thought I'd far rather hear from people over the next 24 hours and hear about their ideas about some of the things that you as a retailer are doing that means that you can be serious, without wearing a suit within your own businesses. I think that I talked about the culture earlier, the culture of businesses and how they change from retail sector to banking sector, for example. Then it would be good to hear from you. But this is just an example. You may have seen this as actually an online photo library of our data centers. And this is the trouble that we go to painting all of these pipes, apparently. So the final problem, and I'm going to finish up with a video here, is on great just isn't being good enough. And I think this sort of ties into some of the mission statements from some of the companies that we've seen and heard from today. And I think that you've always got to be thinking one step ahead, because there's always going to be businesses that are out there that are going to be doing it and innovating faster than yourself as well. So what we say within our 10 things to be true is that we see being great at something as a starting point, not an end point. We set ourselves goals that we know we can't reach yet, because we know that by stretching to meet them, we can get further than we expected. We aim to take things that work well and improve upon them in unexpected ways. For example, when one of our engineers saw that search worked well for properly spelt words, he wondered how it handled typos. That led him to create an intuitive and more helpful spell checker. So sort of reversing things on their head. Now, many of you will have heard about Google X, and hopefully one or two of you have seen videos about Google X. So Google X is known as our sort of moonshot factory, and it's where we've taken people from parts of the business and put them into another part of the business where they're sort of siloed and able to do and work on projects that may well never pay off. What we say about it is that we believe that technology can change the world in profoundly positive ways, but that incremental thinking is never going to be enough to get you to the biggest, most magical wins for everyone on the planet. So it's kind of, apparently it's run by Willy Wonka's, it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and it's staffed by Peter Pans with PhDs. That's how we describe it kind of internally. So you can imagine the kind of fun that they have there. They're working on some really exciting projects, and for many of us, we don't have full insight into what kind of goes on within there. I've met with retailers since I've come back into the retail space that actually have a similar approach within their businesses, and they encourage and foster and incubate innovation that they've seen within their business. They fund it, they put the resources behind it. So my question really to you is to think about what it is that you're doing within your business, what is your company doing to help you grow into these new kind of areas, and think about these 10 times or 1,000 time kind of solutions. So the first one people will be familiar with, self-driving cars. There's a great video on YouTube of a blind guy who goes shopping, which is just amazing. Could never normally be able to sort of jump in a car and sort of be driven to the shops. So phenomenal project, a lot of mathematics, a lot of work that's gone into doing that, and it was born out of a university experiment about 6 or 7 years ago. One that was announced from June of this year was Project Loon. So these are balloons that go up at 60, 80,000 feet, fly over the southern hemisphere. We launched these from New Zealand, gives connectivity to people. If you think that a significant portion of the world's population live in the southern hemisphere and can't access Wi-Fi, let alone 3G networks or 2G networks, this is our kind of solution to some of that sort of connectivity and access that we might give to people. And then the final one, I think everyone's seen this, and we may well have, I'm not sure, we may well have a pair of them later on stage, but Google Glass. So Google Glass, I think the best way to talk about this is simply to show a video. So and when you think about the implications for this in retail, then the mind boggles, really. So if we can play the video.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
This is it. We're on in 2 minutes.
Okay, Glass, hang out with the Flying Club.
Google photos of tiger heads.
You ready? You ready? Right there. Okay, Glass, take a picture.
Holy shit. That is awesome.
Okay, Glass, record a video.
After this bridge, first exit.
Cool. Very delicious and tart. Arrow.
Google jellyfish.
Well, let's see. It's beautiful.
Great. So with that, all that remains to say is enjoy the next 24 hours, network as much as you can. You know, Ronan gave us a pretty good mandate, which is to connect with everyone else, understand what's going on. We've got some great speakers who are lined up, who are going to take us through a variety of things this afternoon. I think we've got a great night planned for tonight. And, you know, take what you learn and take it back into your businesses. So from me, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, James. Do you have any questions for James? Do you have time? Do you have like 2 minutes time? Okay, 2 minutes.
Always got time.
Any questions, guys? There is a first question over there. The question was, why did he come back to retail?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a conscious decision, but I think that when I look at the makeup of our businesses commercially across the globe, you know, retail in the US, retail in the UK, retail across Europe is a significant area of growth. I think that you know, when we think about ourselves coming out of the sort of 2008 kind of double dip that we've had, the recession that's been kind of pretty much global, I think that retail's got a huge opportunity for growth. I think that also they haven't invested enough in technology in the last 5 years, and I think that as they start to invest more in technology, they will be able to get a more customer-centric view and perhaps be able to invest more money and understand why they should invest more money. The other thing as well is that I worked for many years working with branding advertisers like film advertisers and TV companies. I don't think retailers have grasped yet the nettle with regards to how to use brands online and how to digitally sort of put their brands out. I think they're very comfortable using, at least the retailers that are larger are very comfortable using TV. It's a comfort zone for themselves to spend advertising in. So I think there's a huge job to do, whereas you compare someone like film or gaming companies, 40–50% of their entire budgets will be in digital. So I think, yeah, it's really the sort of cutting edge that really attracts me back to it.
What he meant to say is that the retail people are just so cool to be. It was a long answer, but that was exactly what he had. Yeah. That was my translation here. Thanks. Yeah. Any other questions here? If there was another over there.
Is it's very easy for retailers to see how much money they made online as a result of their advertising. However, we help lots of retailers sell online, but we feel we're missing a trick in that we can't explain to them the benefit they're seeing in their offline till as a result of their online activity. Do you have any stats around what kind of a multiple of the online sales retailers will be seeing offline?
Fantastic question. Now I'd like to hear your answer.
Yeah, I was looking at the Adidas stuff as well earlier. So there isn't a right or wrong answer here. I mean, I think that all you can do is seek to try and get as an accurate an answer as possible. I do think that with the advent of mobile and the connectivity, as you get a more single customer view and you're oriented more towards walking in a store, you'll be able to understand things like coupons and how you might activate things like that when you come into the store. And then you'll be able to see frequency and those sort of types of visits as well. But I think looking at footfall versus kind of online traffic coming into your store is going to be a harder thing to do. So it is the holy grail. It's where we want to try and get to. And I think things like analytics have now got improvements within there that allow you to put more and more data in there to understand that. But it is a holy grail that we're all sort of trying to achieve. Yeah.
Are you still awake on this side? Any question here? Are you still awake, was my question.
We've got another hour from Kirk. So,
I have one more question, then I'll let you go. I meet also with retailers all the time and they tell me that, you know what, Petri, you know, it's like the mobile thing, we get it, you know, it's a huge thing, huge growth and so on. However, it doesn't convert. What's your reply?
What doesn't convert?
It doesn't convert into business directly.
Well, you've got to understand more about your customer journeys and how they interact with your brand. There's so many different points of purchase. We looked about the moments that matter. You know, eBay. So anyone know what proportion of eBay's revenue they do on mobile? Or what amount, the number? It's 20 billion. So last year it was 13 billion that they do online. So the other thing that they've been able to do is to ascertain how people transact from the app, because they're obviously signed in, and look at the goods, and then they actually transact on the desktop. So 1 in 3 purchases on eBay have been touched by mobile. So they can do that because they've got the signed-in view, but I think that's the challenge for all of us, is to go away and sort of think about how we can get closer to understanding that more holistic view.
Okay, I bought it. Thank you very much, James. Give a huge hand to James.